Hello, it's PSYCHOCORE, the dialectic of enlightenment when progress becomes oppression. In the aftermath of the Second World War, Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer looked around and saw a contradiction that demanded attention. The very ideals of the Enlightenment, reason, progress, freedom, had been invoked to justify horrific events. Science and rationality, once heralded as paths to liberation, had been twisted into tools of oppression. In response, Adorno and Horkheimer wrote The Dialectic of Enlightenment, a powerful critique of modernity and a warning about the double-edged nature of reason. At the core of their argument lies a paradox: the Enlightenment, which sought to free humans from myth and superstition, ended up creating new myths in the form of ideology, consumerism, and mass conformity. What was supposed to be the dawn of human autonomy had become another form of domination, more subtle, but no less effective. Reason, stripped of reflection and ethics, had turned cold and instrumental. It no longer asked why, only how. How to control, how to produce, how to profit. This instrumental reason became the new myth. It treated everything, including human life, as a resource to be managed. In the pursuit of control over nature, humanity also began controlling itself. The Enlightenment dream of mastery over the world was realized, but at the cost of losing contact with the very values it once promised to uphold: freedom, dignity, individuality. Adorno and Horkheimer introduced the concept of the culture industry to explain how modern mass media, films, radio, television, shaped consciousness in ways that dulled critical thought. These cultural products were no longer aimed at enlightenment or reflection, but at distraction and repetition. They produced consumers, not citizens. Individuals were trained to desire sameness, to avoid discomfort, to seek pleasure over understanding. In the culture industry, nothing was left to chance. Everything became predictable, formatted, standardized. Art became product. Creativity became formula. Even rebellion was packaged and sold back to the masses as entertainment. This kind of culture doesn't challenge power, it strengthens it. It teaches people to accept the world as it is, rather than to imagine how it could be different. But the problem was not only in art and media. It extended to every level of society. Bureaucracies, corporations, and governments operated according to the same cold rationality. They optimized efficiency but ignored humanity. The same mindset that builds bridges and medicines can also construct concentration camps. For Adorno and Horkheimer, the Holocaust was not the opposite of modernity, it was its stark mirror. The machinery of death ran on the rails of reason. This is the horror they wanted us to see, that rationality, when divorced from morality, becomes dangerous. It can justify anything, excuse anything, mechanize anything. The same logic that drives progress can also drive annihilation. And when we no longer question the ends of our actions, when we care only about results, we risk repeating history's worst atrocities. Yet the solution is not to abandon reason altogether. Instead, Adorno and Horkheimer argued for a different kind of reason, a self-reflective reason, one that questions its own assumptions, one that acknowledges its potential for both liberation and domination. True enlightenment, they said, requires the courage to confront contradiction. It means embracing complexity rather than seeking comfort in simplified answers. We live in a world that still reflects their concerns. Algorithms decide what we see. Media entertains us without challenging us. Institutions value productivity over humanity. The Enlightenment project continues, but often without reflection. We have made incredible technological progress, but ethical progress has not kept pace. We know how to connect globally, but we've forgotten how to listen deeply. We know how to produce endlessly, but not how to ask whether we should. So what does it mean today to engage in a dialectic of enlightenment? It means resisting the temptation to see history as a straight line toward progress. It means asking, who benefits from our knowledge? Who is excluded from our systems? What price are we paying for our comfort, our efficiency, our order? It also means refusing to be passive. The culture industry thrives on our inattention. It depends on our willingness to consume without questioning. But awareness is the first act of resistance. When we begin to notice how we are shaped, by media, by education, by algorithms, we begin to reclaim our agency. Adorno and Horkheimer were not offering easy answers. Their message was uncomfortable by design. They wanted us to feel the weight of history, the danger of forgetting, the fragility of freedom. But in that discomfort lies the possibility of awakening. To be critical is not to be cynical, it is to care deeply about truth, to want more from the world than what it currently offers. The dialectic, then, is not just a philosophical method, it is a way of being. It invites us to hold opposites in tension, hope and despair, light and darkness, reason and emotion. It reminds us that every gain may carry a loss, that every victory may plant the seeds of a future defeat. This awareness does not paralyze, it prepares. It makes us vigilant, thoughtful, human. In the end, Dialectic of Enlightenment is not just a critique of the past. It is a lens for the present. It challenges us to look beyond appearances, to think for ourselves, and to ask hard questions. What kind of world are we building? And are we building it with our eyes open? The task of philosophy, for Adorno and Horkheimer, was not to solve problems like an engineer, but to awaken conscience. Not to provide comfort, but clarity. In a time when so much is automated, outsourced, and commercialized, perhaps the most radical act is to think, to pause, to reflect, and to resist the machinery of unthinking progress.